it was like at least 3 days of just unbelievable heaven on earth. I knew everything, I understood everything, and my soulmate or my twin flame, or when you come down and separate from yourself, we enjoyed the days, on who I thought it was, or who my twin flame, or I don't even want to call it twin flame, but who my other half was embodying at that time. That's the best way I can say it. It was amazing, right? But on the last day, they had said, you have to tell her the truth. That's exactly what they said, yo. They said, you have to tell her the truth. And I said, huh? wait, tell who the truth? Why? Why would I do that? Because honestly, what I had said was, I'd be at the gates of heaven and still never admit what I was doing to anyone. That's what I had said. I said no one will know this outside of the couple of people that started it with me. Guys, guys, and I'm so sorry. I don't want to say guys and gals. Let's treat this like Spanish, where the masculine just means both if we're talking about plural. So, guys, I just wanted to clear that up because sometimes political correctness, whatever you want to call it, it goes overboard. I hope no one is insulted because I'm saying guys, because I'm definitely not leaving out the ladies, okay? So, I'm sure I didn't have to say that, or maybe I probably did, so that's why I said it. But guys, what's up? Day two. Doing day two was really hard. I'm not gonna lie, because I did so much. And what time is it? It's only like 10 something, but I'm trying to go to bed earlier. But after having a busy day, it's like, oh my goodness, but I am dedicated and devoted to this. So it's usually, at least for me, to channel, that uses, for me, it uses a lot of energy. So um what I'm gonna do is, well, the thing is, if I'm sharing with you guys things that I've never shared with majority of the people that know me in my life, and the only people that I have shared it with are my friends, the closest people to me, and that is literally three people. you know and so if I'm going to be sharing this with y'all, then I feel like y'all must be my friends, because those are the only people that I talk to about this kind of stuff, even though I want to talk to the world about it. So in light of you guys being my friends, I don't think you can call me your friend if you don't really know who I am, know nothing about me. So I'm gonna tell you, I guess this is, do they call it story time or something? Day two is going to be getting to know me. All right. And actually, I don't want to preface it with anything. I don't want to give any disclaimers, anything. I want to tell you about me. You feel how you feel. And then I have something to round it off at the end, just as a little understanding of, life, how things work, why certain words exist, so we can pay attention to them and not do them and things like that. Truthfully, I don't even know if that makes sense. So we're going to see how day two goes, okay? So, me, I was born in Kansas City, Kansas, all right? Kansas City, Kansas, and honestly, I was poor. I didn't know I was poor, though. That's the thing. We were poor, or lower economic status. But I guess it was almost like hood rich then. I swear, as kids, at least me and my brother for sure, I don't even know if my cousins knew we were poor. But I never knew, because we got everything we ever wanted as children. Every game system that came out, every arcade system, everything, every pair of shoes, everything. I don't remember ever asking for anything and not getting it. So people say I was spoiled. I'll own it. I'm okay with being spoiled. I do know that there are pros and cons to that, and honestly, I enjoy both. I enjoy every pro of being spoiled, and I appreciate and understand the cons of it, and I learn from it. Okay. What is that? I'm so sorry. I keep hearing boop boop. I feel like it's my iPad. I mean, iPad. That's my daughter's. I don't know what it is, but let's just hope it doesn't keep happening. If it does, I apologize. It might get on my nerves more than it get on y'all's. Anyway, so, yes. What was I saying? Oh, I don't know. We were poor, didn't know it. So that means food stamps, whatever. My mom, she was there and wasn't. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was the situation where you were left with your grandmother. It's crazy because when you're living it, you understand you're going through it. When you grow up, you realize which categories you fit into. And it was like, oh, didn't know that. I mean, I knew she wasn't around, but the amount of love I had for her as a kid, I didn't. Well, yeah, I lied. I cared. I cared a lot. But you just get used to it. And of course, absent father. You know what I mean? I mean, he was there, but wasn't, like, basically not. All right. So, and I'm not telling y'all any of this for no pity. Please, pity is not a gift to offer anyone. Don't offer anyone any pity. You're not doing them any favors. Okay. I'm just telling you who I am. All right. So fast forward. Oh, wait, no. Okay. So I lived in Kansas City. I stayed there till I was in 6th grade, and then I moved to Arkansas in 7th grade. I left there and moved to Texas in the 11th grade. Changed high schools while I was in Texas. So I think I went to like 4 different high schools or whatever. So basically I moved a lot. Okay. Moved a lot. Graduated from high school and then went to college at the University of Florida. Okay, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I need you guys to understand how my spiritual journey started. Now, apparently as a kid, I used to have an imaginary friend. Now, of course, the way humans are, they're going to tell you it's fake or something. More than likely, and I don't have much of a memory of my childhood. I don't remember. I remember, like, I'll remember flashes of it. Like, I remember I had a birthday at Jungle Gyms before, and so I remember the place, like, it's like a picture, but I can't remember riding on the rides, doing anything. I don't know what one of the rides feels like or whatever. But anyway, so you see, it's just, it's little flashes, like a little reel, and that's about it. That's all I get, like a little snippet of a memory. Some people have great detailed memories. That's not me. So anyhow, I apparently had an imaginary friend. Of course, probably was told that it was fake or something. And so my imaginary friend went away. I know it was a girl or something. I don't remember her name. I swear, I think they told me it was Sarah or whatever. Or who knows? But regardless, so I was already showing some signs of gifts, but back then that's not what we would have known it to be. It would have just been, she has an imaginary friend, as so many children have had. Anyhow, so in high school, all right, I graduated high school, and once I graduated high school, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And I think I mentioned this on day one, if y'all watch day one. She was diagnosed with cancer, and simultaneously I was told that I would not be able to go to the University of Florida. And I was like, oh my goodness. And, I'm 17. I graduated when I was 17 because my birthday's in July. I'm 17 and I lose my dang mind. I don't know what to do. I mean, I didn't literally lose my mind. Later in life, I lose my mind. And it was obviously 2 of the worst news ever. You can't go to the University of Florida because we can't afford it. And your mom has cancer and it's stage 3. And like I said, in day one, of course, I Google it and see how long she has to live. And I think I said that I ended up manifesting the amount of time. So don't go Googling things because you're way more powerful than you think. But anyways, right around that time, I had like a guy I was talking to. And I was talking to dudes that would be in Florida by the time I get there. But he was going to FAMU, and he started talking to some girl in California. And so one of my friends had the bright idea or I don't know if it could have been my idea for all I know, because we were bad back then. So we had the idea to catfish this girl. This is before catfish was a word. Catfish the girl so she'd break up with him and or not, yeah, I think they got together. So she'd break up with him, and obviously he'd be available again. Yes. Was it fucked up? Absolutely. I was one of the worst human beings on the planet, rightfully owning it. And the reason why I own it, and I own it without feeling anything on it, because what you'll also learn is forgiveness, and you have to learn how to forgive yourself so hardcore, because the story I'm about to tell you, I had to forgive myself so deeply. Nobody would punish me the way I would punish me. And honestly, it's a good thing for them that I punish myself, because I'm twisted. And so the things that I would do to someone who does what I did, are bad. So I had a lot of karma to pay for. So anyhow, so we did it. We created this fake page. I already have a lower register voice, so and I I trying to be humble. Um, I'm sorry, guys. All right, this is me authentically. I am very I love myself. It took a long time for me to love myself. And so, to be honest, I am an incredible human being outside of when I do unkind things. I think, well, now everybody isn't. But so anyways, I knew that this girl would fall in love with me, and I didn't even like girls, to be quite honest. It was just I had the gift of gab, and I didn't know that it was a gift. I didn't know that I was using a blessing to hurt people, or to manipulate people, or to harm people, or to trick people. I just thought, oh, they're falling in love with me. Not knowing that it's partially because there's a bit of magic added to my voice. And that's not to be funny or anything like that. It's like people that are speakers that are meant to, or like singers. There's spirit in their voices. That's why sometimes you can hear somebody sing and it'll move you, and sometimes you can hear somebody sing and that they are definitely just famous because of their looks, or because they know somebody and that their voice didn't move you like that. So that's the difference between somebody that has a gift and somebody that is very blessed to have friends. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't realize I was using a gift in the wrong way. So anyways, made her fall for me, and then so she breaks up with him. Ta-da, we do it. So but then my friend says, "Oh, wow, I need help too." And so we're young, we're thinking it's funny. The internet kind of just came out. I think this was on MySpace. And or Black Planet. I really don't know. And if I laugh, it's just because it was so long ago and it was so childish, so dumb. And I can laugh about it now because I beat myself up about it for a long time. So I don't want to come off the wrong way, or like I think that it is funny what I did at all. Okay? So but give me some grace. I'm gonna laugh. It's my story, it's my life, and I was an idiot and I was a dumb kid. But it lasted a little too long. So anyway, so she wanted me to trick somebody for her. I did that. They fell for me, but then that person ended up becoming one of my best friends, and they are talking to a fake person, and I'm like, oh shicer. What I didn't take into account was, aside from me faking about the person I was still just being me, and me and these people really began to build relationships. And so then I'm like, holy crap, I'm actually a good person. I feel terrible. How do you get out of this? You don't know how. You don't know. Honestly, you're so immature. I was so immature. You don't know how to. I didn't know how to face them. And when I say them, it ended up being a lot, because, okay, you did it and then it was fun and then you're young and so you're just doing it. And then some twisted way, I thought I was being a vigilante, because there was one girl who was with an absolutely awful person. Absolutely awful human being. How could I say this when I was being an absolutely awful human being? That's hypocrisy, but that's what I thought. And I'm just being honest. I was like, oh, I'll make her fall in love with me, and then I'll let her down easy, but at least she'll be away from that jerk. What the heck? That's a narcissist. That's a sociopath. And if you understand me, I touched everything. And this story isn't just to tell you my life, it's very spiritual. And the reason why I'm telling you this, I probably won't even be able to fit it all in this video. The reason why I'm telling you this, because it'll make sense to my now and the future, every part of my life. And when you're doing this journey, you'll realize how every single part of your life is a piece that makes sense for the future, and why you understand why every single thing that happened, every terrible thing that happened to you, every terrible thing that you've ever done was meant. And so that's why I say it so lightheartedly, because I see it on its highest, why I was meant to be the villain in people's lives, and why I had my villains as well. And because I understood the forgiveness and the compassion and what I had to do to forgive my villains, I too understand what the people whose lives I was a villain in, what they'd have to do. Anyway, so just know I was a villain, right? And I was a villain for way too long. The only issue is, while doing that, and honestly, it's so ridiculous serendipity and weird stuff. And I didn't know I was magically making stuff happen just to fulfill this interesting story in my head. One person, the freakiest way that I came across this person, they were actually the side chick to somebody else that I was catfishing, right? I mean, they were the side, like, I was talking to a girl, and the guy she was talking to just so happened to be talking to this other girl, and I wanted to tell her the truth. I was like, I was like, how am I talking to both people and y'all are sharing the same? I was like, here you go, vigilante. I'm gonna tell her and I'm gonna save her, but I didn't expect what the hell was gonna happen. And honestly, karma is so amazing. I'll never say she's a bitch again, because I'm so appreciative of karma. But anyway, so I accidentally fell in love, and you gotta understand, I didn't like girls for real. This was only supposed to be for play, and it happened, and it was like, it was to be honest, it was something you couldn't describe, like the feeling, the energy, that's all I can say on it, right? So anyway, so this lasted too long. We're talking about different countries, like too long, too many people. The game was over. It was just like, oh my God, I'm tired of it. So let's put a pause on that, right? Because that happened for years. So I needed you to know that villainous side. And then, so 18, I tried weed. I did not get high. I was too scared. But then I actually do. I come up with this plan. I say, I'm going to make it to the University of Florida. I'm going to get there. And back then, I never understood why, when I knew I was going to do something, it was done. Like I have this best friend. We went to Florida together for a trip to Disney. Her family invited me. And once we went there, we knew that we were going to live in Florida. We wanted to go to college in Florida. She ended up going to one that was up north, and I ended up going to the University of Florida. But so I made up this plan where actually I was talking to some guy on Black Planet, and he told me about this community college that was out there. And he was like, everybody goes there and then transfers. And I was like, really? And I looked into it. I literally found an apartment on there. I only had I had a $2,000 credit card. And my mom took me shopping. We bought all new clothes. Almost maxed out that credit card, but I need to pay for rent. And it was just like, good luck, So she drove me from Texas to Florida to go to a community college, and then like, she believed in me. Nobody else did. I'm not even gonna lie. My brother even said, you're not gonna go to University of Florida, because I got a full ride to Baylor, and he thought I was a complete idiot because I was living in Texas at the time. And and well, full ride, I wasn't a whole scholarship. It meant I could pay for the entire thing. I had grants and everything like that. But so I just said a full ride, but I did not get like a full academic scholarship or nothing like that, just to be clear. But either way, it would have been paid for. Whereas at the University of Florida, they were saying it was like $22,000 or $27,000 because I was out of state. So he put me on game, and so I went there, went to the community college. So when I transferred to UF, I was living in state. I got to get in-state tuition, as well as go to the college of my dreams. because I was an athlete. So there was nothing like being at a D1 college. And honestly, while I was there, I manifested, was it 4 championships? It's just I didn't know at the time, but this was the start of championships following me. Well, when I thought I was going to go to Baylor, then all of a sudden the girls win the championship. And then I I say I'm gonna go to Florida. They win the championship the year I say I'm gonna go, and then we win 3 more while I'm there. And I'm not like saying, "Oh, you do all this," but I am. You get what I'm saying? Because I just had to learn this over time. That I always say championships follow me, but I know that I manifest them, and I started to play with that later. So I'll tell you about that later, though. So anyway, where was I at? Championships, UF. So I ended up going to UF or whatever, and that was the first time I ever. Okay, so let me go back. When my mom got diagnosed with cancer, I started to question things. That's when I first started to question. I was like, yeah, she's a good person. Why would she get cancer? And so that's when some of the things that I was learning didn't make sense, and not entirely, because all the good people I kept knowing kept dying. And by that time I had faced a lot of death. My grandmother died. Too many people. Grandpa. It was like back to back, like 5 years in a row. Everybody was just dying. And it happened young too. So I didn't understand. Not when the best people in my life were dying. So I was like, something's not adding up. The Bible ain't making sense. So when my mom got cancer, I said, okay, that's enough. Y'all are lying to me, or something's not right, because all these good people keep dying. And at the time, I didn't like my dad. I'm like, he is fine. Why is he okay and my mom isn't? I mean, obviously I was a kid, so that's a little harsh. But so that's when I first started questioning. And then, of course, my brother and my family, well, I don't know about all my family, but I'm sure they thought it. He was like, you're an atheist. And I'm like, I'm not an atheist. I'm not an atheist. I just want to know for myself what's going on, right? And so I said, I'm going to put the Bible to the side a little bit and learn a little more. So anyway, while I was in college, I pretty much, this was my first experience with marijuana. Lord Jesus. And if you went to UF, it was a big drinking school. So I didn't understand the science of drinking and weed at the same time. But regardless, it was the most unbelievable experience of my life. And possibly worse, because I don't know what happened. There was a party that my friend was throwing, and we pre-gamed a little bit. And then I was like, hey, okay, I'm going to try weed. My first time was a bong. God, just wasn't that smart. All I remember was hitting that bong and then like falling over, and that was it. That was all she wrote. And as far as the story they tell, that was that. But as far as what I went through, I was basically like a floating bubble, floating through. I guess you could say the universe, but it was just like a sky. That's all I could say. Nowhere. And all I remember is telling him, I know what heaven feels like. And because I can't describe it. It was just, well, I can now. I went to oneness, to be honest. I just elevated so high, which that's why I say marijuana. And look, I'm not a doctor, so entertainment purposes only, or whatever I got to say to not get sued because people go try stuff. But what I'm saying is, they say it's a gateway drug, but it's really the gateway to heaven, to not be so cliche. But because what it does is raises your vibration so high to a frequency, depending on how happy you are, or depending on what frequency you're at, or your energy homeostasis. But you go high, and then that's what you get at higher frequencies, heavenly frequencies. And so I got to feel what it felt like, and all I knew was when I was coming in and out of consciousness type thing, I was just like, I couldn't remember words. I was just like, Mom, that word is important. I thought I was a whole addict or something. I thought years had passed because I don't know what was going on. I mean, it was weird. But anyway, when I woke up and they told me what happened or whatever, and I'm telling them what happened, and I was like, I'm not smoking weed again. I'm not smoking ever again. And after you hear these stories, you'll say, yeah, you probably shouldn't. But anyways, I'll explain. So anyway, it was unbelievable. It was magical. It did scare me though, because I didn't have no control. My ego, obviously I faced my first ego death. So what happened was I went and Googled my experience to see if anybody else had experienced anything like that. and people had, and everyone on whatever I found on Google back in the day in 2006, whatever I found, it said something about awakening and like meditation and stuff. So I literally was just doing like breadcrumbs because this wasn't prevalent. Nobody was talking about spirituality or whatever. This was a solo journey and I was scared to tell anybody about it, So I had to Google it on my own. And 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 yeah, so they were talking about meditation and this, that, and the other. I wasn't ready to meditate. I was still heavily in college, heavily drinking, having a whole lot of fun. I was just curious as to what possibly had happened to me. Hold on. Yeah, anyways, I was just curious as to what, could have happened to me or whatever. And so yeah, so it said something about awakening and this, that, and the other, and I was just like, oh, that was interesting, and I knew it was real, but what do you do with it? I was just like, all right, I'm not smoking again because apparently my human said some things that I didn't know it said, So I was like, okay, while I'm in the galaxy, my human doing the best it can without my soul here. I'm like, without my consciousness. So I was like, probably a robot, but whatever. Um, Anyhow, let me see what's next. Yeah, so there was nothing really spiritual going on at that time in between there because I didn't smoke, I wasn't meditating, I was just living life. So what happened was I moved to Tampa and I get in a relationship. I was in a relationship the whole time, but I didn't even talk about him because it's just like one of those young love kind of things, dumb, lasts too long type of thing. And anyway, I'm in Tampa. I'm in a serious relationship and we're trying for a baby because, oh, I forgot this. How could I forget this? Oh my goodness. So after graduating college, my mom got to see me graduate, and then about a week after my birthday in the summer, she passed away. All right, and what happened after that? After she passed away, um, okay, so yeah, after she passed away, I kind of like traveled the United States. I lived in Alaska for for a bit. It was terrible, so I had to leave. I was in a deeper depression from there. And so anyway, just know I lived a whole lot of different places trying to find where felt like home. So I moved to Tampa and I'm skipping a lot, but I'm trying to just hit the important parts. And look, this is day 2, so I'm just trying to get something out there. I moved to Tampa and I have well, the thing is I was supposed to go to dental school. I was supposed to go to dental school after I graduated, and I was going to go to dental school in Texas. Well, my mom died right after graduation, so I said dental school and everything else, How could I forget this? By the way, it was a recession. I remember going to my private dentist saying they were like, don't go into dentistry. Like the private sector is dead. And I was like, what? And so then I looked up how much money I would have had to make. And I said, you know what? This is just too much. You can't find a good job if you graduated around 2010, 2011 because of the recession. So then it's like, what do? We went to college. They said if we go to college, we get all this good stuff. Yeah, no, I had to go get a job at a call center. By the way, they paid bank. Not gonna lie, especially for then, Out of college and I was making what? I think it was like $24 an hour. And that was good for, so I was like, sure, I'll do some sales. I found like so many sales jobs. It was crazy. But that's not what I expected to be doing out of college. And honestly, I didn't really care because my mom had passed. I'm like, I'm away from all my family and I'm just doing whatever I want to do. So I meet this guy. We end up getting serious. And oh, because my mom had cancer, he showed me like it was literally at a urgent care. That was his primary care, but they did my BRCA test for free. And what the BRCA test is, it's called a BRCA test, but it's to test if you have the breast cancer gene. And I tested positive for the breast cancer gene, and honestly, it was a miracle that I even got to get that because they said it's so hard to for first off to get it for free, and second of all to just get approved to be tested for it. So anyway, I tested positive for that. It sounds like a good thing, but whatever. I tested positive for it, and so they said I had like a 70-some% chance of getting breast cancer and like over a 50-some% chance of getting ovarian cancer. So they said by the time you're 37, you should have a hysterectomy or orthectomy, and we highly suggest a double mastectomy. And so I went ahead and did the double mastectomy because, to be quite honest, I was so tired of my breast because I also had a prolactinoma, which makes your breast secrete milk, even if you're not pregnant. Yippee! But do you want to know the truth on why it really happened? Because I always wanted to produce milk. I'm a woman, and so it was some things where I'm like, dang, if I'm not gonna have a kid, I want to at least know what it feels like. So here comes the milk in the form of a prolactinoma. So I let them take my breast, and they were like, do you want reconstructive? I could have had a tummy tuck, and then I was just like, no, man, I got tired of having the sweaty under boob and this, that, and the other. I was an athlete, so I was like, you know what, keep them. I don't feel like going through all these surgeries and this, that, and the other. And then I fell in love with my chest. You get what I'm saying? So it was absolutely the best decision that I made because I don't miss them. I am A-OK. But anyway, so yes, so Brocagene, and then I'm supposed to have so at this point, I don't know how old I was when I figured that out. 20, who knows, 25, 26, something like that. And I'm like, oh crap, I gotta have a baby quick. So who's next over here? So I meet this guy, and it wasn't like I'm just like, yeah, we gotta have a baby. But honestly, in the back of my head, it was on the time clock. So we fall for each other. I get pregnant. I lose the baby, and then subsequently, not let's like a month later, he ends up trigger warning. Okay, trigger warning. All right, hopefully I had time to prepare. Okay. Anyway, he ends up taking his life while I was home, sleeping in the room, and so um once that happened, holy crap. Okay, so you're talking about somebody that's never seen anything like that. And I had to try to save him, obviously. And so that was a bit traumatic. And I didn't know just how traumatic it would end up being because who knew? How do you know? You don't know what to expect. I mean, I'd heard of PTSD and all this stuff, and in the movies they make it seem like it's something. You come to learn that it's something completely different, and it's not what the movie it's what the movies make it look like. They don't go in enough detail to explain it, how it comes, the feeling of it, why it comes, and what it truly is. So that I'm so grateful for it, and this is how I'm grateful for his decision, because if I never got PTSD, I wouldn't have ever learned what the karma cycle is, what karma is, what life cycle is, and also what manifesting is and creation. So it literally started with PTSD, which is why I will be doing one of these days that I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be explaining how at least the disabilities that I am familiar with are actually gifts. And so I could start with PTSD. So I'm not going to explain it completely, but I'm just telling you my story, right? So I got PTSD, and immediately I was supposed to be on a flight the next day. It was like about to be Thanksgiving. I was supposed to be flying to Texas. So I fly to Texas. I didn't know if it was gonna look like I did it or not. I mean, because they had to do like what is that, gunshot residue test on me and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, they think I did it or something. It was just the wildest thing in the world. So anyways, of course they knew I didn't or whatever. But I fly to my family, and then I realized that I gotta leave Tampa. I can't live in the apartment. My bad, y'all. I can't live in the apartment where this happened. So we were gonna move to Arizona anyway. So I moved to Arizona, and it was all straight there. But long story short, I have a PTSD attack, and I didn't even know what PTSD was. The first time I realized I had PTSD was it started raining in Arizona, and by the way, it don't rain that often, not for real. It started raining, and I go outside because I'm like, oh, the rain, and then I start freaking out, like I get nervous or anxious, and like a panic attack, and I'm like, what the was that? Like, I went inside and started crying, and I didn't realize that because it rained so often in Tampa, that rain triggered a PTSD moment. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I think I got PTSD. And so I'm sure I told my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, because she was, I don't know if she was a nurse practitioner yet, but either way, she was smart, nursey, and, I talked to her about everything. She was like my own private doctor. And so they were like, maybe you should try some weed, because I wasn't able to sleep anymore either. Like I had bad insomnia, and I was afraid of my dreams. And by the way, the whole time I still have a double life. Okay. Anyway, um so yeah, so I then what happened was I had a PTSD attack, and this was a bad one, and I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know. I thought it may have been that anxiety thing. But anyway, so I couldn't sleep, and so they said you should try smoking weed to go to sleep. So this is when, it was legal medicinally in Arizona. And anyway, so I got started smoking indica. It started helping me sleep so much, and I said, "Oh my God, thank you!" But it also elevates you. And so I started learning so much stuff. I started meditating, and my dumb self. I mean, because I was, again, I was head over heels, to be honest, in love. Just didn't know how to tell the person that I loved the most in life who I was. It was the craziest thing. And don't think that it was. I'm gonna leave it. It was a crazy. At this point, she's married. You get what I'm saying? But there was a pool because I had even left it alone, and I get a call. So it's just like, I was gonna try to like make my fake person die, but I thought that was a little too cruel. I was like, you just gotta, I don't know. I was just gonna run from it. I was still young. I was like, no, you know. But anyway, so I can't remember. Give me a second. Oh yeah. So, oh wow, how did I skip that? Um, yeah, I'm trying to give you the gist of the story, but let me fix this. What happened was I they had said you should start smoking weed, and weed started helping, but it also was elevating me. And like I was saying, I was head over heel in love, and so I was like, this feeling has to be something. And so that's when I came across twin flames, and I was like, oh my God, it seems like this. Oh my God, it is this. Oh my God, oh my God. So if you've ever been on a twin flame journey, which I'm gonna explain that too, because it's so not what you think. That toxic love part that everybody goes through, and the waiting, and then the union, and you think it's them, and it's just, oh, I can't wait to tell you that. But anyway, so I had did like so many like twin flame meditations and this, and by then I had found somebody that knew all about it. And then so I was on YouTube, and I did a Kundalini awakening. I did this kind of awakening, that kind of awakening. I was just doing all kind of meditations because I was learning so much in the astral. I honestly, I can't even explain all of the spiritual things that had happened, but it was giving me answers quickly. And I was like, oh my God. And then it wasn't like just overnight. This took time of me to like research this, research that, realize that these things connected and stuff like this. But when I was 30, about 29, 30, is when the culmination of it all started to come together. And I did those meditations where 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 apparently I set off every awakening that I could, not even knowing what they meant. And so literally about, I don't know, a few days, like magic stuff happened after that. Like, if you were to listen, I'm just gonna be honest, like I literally paused the courtyard, and like God told me no one will come out. This is for you. So the thing is, every time I would meditate, I would not remember when I woke up. I could not remember. I just knew. It was like a dream. I knew it was real, and I knew that it was magical, but for the life of me, I don't know why I couldn't remember it. And so this very last one, it was like when they froze the courtyard for me where I lived. And it was like, can I at least remember it this time? And they were like, yeah. So I'm not even gonna talk about all the magical stuff that happened, but just know it was so magical, right? And one of the things that came to me as well was like it was like at least 3 days of just unbelievable heaven on earth. I knew everything, I understood everything, and my soulmate or my twin flame, or when you come down and separate from yourself, we enjoyed the days, on who I thought it was, or who my twin flame, or I don't even want to call it twin flame, but who my other half was embodying at that time. That's the best way I can say it. It was amazing, right? But on the last day, they had said, you have to tell her the truth. That's exactly what they said, yo. They said, you have to tell her the truth. And I said, huh? Wait, tell who the truth? Tell why? Why would I do that? Because honestly, what I had said was I'd be at the gates of heaven and still never admit what I was doing to anyone. That's what I had said. I said no one will know this outside of the couple of people that started it with me. The one person, you know? And so they tell my soul tells me, or somebody's soul tells me that I gotta do it. And I don't question it because that's God type thing. So I said, I guess I was lying at the gates of hell. I mean, being at the gates of heaven, and so I said, oh my God. But the very next day I went on a marathon of, hey, this is who I really am. Now, some of them, well, none of them like heated at all, because you gotta understand this was years, and I think all of them loved me very, very, very much. And you gotta understand there were guys too, like that I considered brothers, and one of them even said like, "Yo, I thought you were telling me you were turning into Caitlyn Jenner. Is that what that man name is? Woman name is?" And he was like, "No, I just thought I was gonna lose my brother." And I was like, "What? I just told you that I was lying about who I was for years, and you don't hate me." And then it was like one after the other, almost saying the same thing. Now, that was a couple mad ones for sure. But I was kind of shocked, and I still talk to a couple still to this day. And yes, it was a lot. I was no good. And when I say a player, a dog, everything in every way, yes, all of that. Terrible. Like, the story is awful. Swear to God. But I was shocked that so many still wanted to talk to me, still wanted to, because I thought it was real. You get what I'm saying? And I needed them to know it was so real, and I was so apologetic. And I couldn't make up for the things I did, but I had grown, and I wanted to stop so long ago. But do you know that after I told each and every one of them the truth, and obviously I saved the one that I was madly in love with for last, after I told them, I literally had the biggest PTSD attack of my life right after. Unbelievable. It changed this was where it was like I began the healing journey, the forgiveness cycle. I can't begin it until I end the only thing in life that I was doing that was bad, to be honest. Like, I was a really good person outside of that one absolutely terrible thing I was doing. So literally right after that, I had the biggest PTSD episode of my life. I didn't even know it. I thought I was drugged. I thought somebody laced me. So I thought there was demons and this, that, and the other. It made me take my nephew from his grandmother because I thought she was a demon. And I'm like, yo, I'm going to protect my nephew like I would, but there was nothing to protect him from me at the time, So I end up going to jail. I go to jail because of this PTSD attack. And I end up staying in jail for 3.5 months. And, and anyway, so, like, how long is this? Because I actually think I might have to do a part 2. Because there's, let me go check real quick. Sorry, guys.